Hi, Noya. So,
Hi, Akash.
yeah, so this is Noya. She has done her BSc in neuroscience and she's doing masters in clinical psychology, both from Amity Noida. And we have decided uh, after a long discussion that we are going to talk about mental health, how to keep mentally healthy, what are the lifestyle choices that we should make, what are the stigmas attached in seeking counseling therapy, and what happens like if you abuse drugs and alcohol. So let us start with establishing what is mental health.
Okay. So, our mental health is basically our emotional, how well we are with, how well do we handle our emotions, right?
Right,
Along with that, how our behavior and how we're feeling on a day-to-day basis.
right.
Okay. So, I think this is all what comes under your mental health, right?
Yes.
And
How you make rational
along
choices.
with that, yes, how do you make rational choices? How do you perceive your surroundings and situations
Right,
around you?
right.
Um, and
Adapt to your
how
resources. I am sorry,
yeah,
I'm very
exactly.
excited.
And how well do you how well are you able to make
Yeah,
difficult decisions
yeah, right,
properly? Yeah, so one of the yeah. So yeah, this comprises of our mental health, basically our emotional well-being and how well do we handle our situations.
right. Social competence and all.
Exactly.
So, how do you determine whether a person is mentally healthy or not? Like,
Okay.
yeah,
So, a mentally healthy person is a person who knows how to, you know, how to be in touch with their own emotions, how to recognize different emotions, okay, and how to act on it. Even if you're like, for instance, you're getting really angry and furious at somebody, right?
right,
And so if a person is, let's say you had a fight with somebody, you got really angry,
right,
right? So a person, let's say, who's suffering from anxiety has like a lot of tendency to think about it again and again,
right,
right? Maybe like for that particular day, and maybe for like an upcoming entire week, right?
yeah,
So they might be thinking about it again and again. So that is one of the signs that you may not be very able to handle those
right,
emotions, right? So you talked about what is like how does a mentally healthy person behave, right?
right,
So a mentally healthy person would know how to recognize their emotions, act on them, recognize their triggers, right? So what are the different situations which can trigger them to
right,
you know act in a certain way? So that's that, and also they know how to behave in a socially acceptable manner,
right,
right?
right.
So how to interact with people and what to say, what not to say. So yeah, that is somebody who is mentally healthy.
So he's aware how to act in a wedding and how to act in a classroom
Yeah,
and how they are different.
yeah,
Right.
exactly. You can't just act like you're in a wedding in a class. So
Yeah. So,
anyway,
um I like to add one thing like what is normal for one person is not necessarily normal for another person. Actually, there is no
yeah.
definition of normal, right, in psychology.
Exactly. Exactly. There is no definition of normal. Nothing is normal in this world. Nothing is normal. Right. So
Yeah,
even yeah. So the way you behave is going to be totally different from what how I behave.
yeah,
Right. Your perception about a particular thing would be totally different from my perception about that particular
yeah.
thing. So there is nothing in this world which is normal. There is no normal. Let's just. I sometimes feel like we just should erase the word normal because there is legit nothing normal.
Right.
So,
So, like, if you're
yeah,
a soldier, right,
yeah,
and you're in a battlefield, you'll be like stressed all the time. So that would be not abnormal, right, for you, for your occupation,
yeah,
right,
exactly. So if you're so your occupation, if it is calling for stress, you might feel stressed. But
right,
then again, now it is your responsibility, being in that occupation, to be able to handle that sort of stress, right?
yeah,
And if you're not able to handle that sort of stress, Now it's going to come up to you. Okay.
Right.
And it's going to come up to you again and again until you feel, you go into that deep, depth,
Right.
basically.
Right.
And
A
then you
good
feel bad
analogy.
about yourself.
Uh,
Yeah.
yeah.
And then you feel bad about yourself. You feel bad about taking that particular occupation. And,
Right.
and then it will again impact your mental health. It will
Right.
deteriorate.
Totally.
Maybe you will develop anxiety, or maybe you can go into depression, or maybe something else can happen. Right. So it basically your occupation also again really impacts your mental health. So we all should definitely keep a check on that. If they're doing something, if they're working, and we should keep our mental health on track as well. So that's that.
A good metaphor for it is like your body is a bucket, right? And all the anxiety that you store in it are drops of water. And once it cannot store any longer, it will overflow in some way, like
Over.
anxiety or stress.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
that's when things are not right for your mental health.
Yeah.
Right. Uh, okay. Uh, so
Hmm.
let us talk about stigma. I
Yeah.
think it's a big
Talk
issue,
about that.
especially in third world countries like India, right?
Yeah, it is. It is a big issue. It's like if somebody is like we are get our country is a developing country. The youth right now, this generation, they know
Yeah.
a lot more about them. They're very much more about mental health than
Right,
people like in like the past decade. Right.
right,
So
right.
abhi ka generation, they are all very very well aware with all of these things. They even खुद ऐसे बोल देते कि oh this is not good for my mental health.
Hmm.
But आज से 10 साल पहले you would have never heard of this
Right,
term, right? So yeah, but still the stigma is still there. It is still
right,
there, especially
right.
in people who are not very kind of aware about these things. So mental health awareness is again very important, right?
Yes.
And stigma more like कि therapy मतलब psychiatrist है एक तो सबसे पहले psychologist को सब psychiatrist बोलते हैं. So I don't get this
What is
thing.
the
So
difference?
if they're so psychiatrists, they've got a degree in like MBBS and MD and all, and then they specialize in psychiatrists. Psychiatrists they prescribe medicine,
Right.
and psychologists they perform therapies, right?
Like
And
they
they don't
talk
prescribe you.
kindly. Yeah.
Yeah, they they talk and help you out through your
Yeah.
situation, right? Yeah, so that's the thing. So
Yeah.
yeah, in India, it's like if you're going to a psychologist, तो मतलब भैया आप हो गए हो पागल, ठीक है?
Right.
इसके पास बिल्कुल नहीं जाना. He is like he is cray cray, and
Right.
we should not go near that guy. So yeah,
So
stigma is still there.
yeah, if somebody
Yeah, I
like
was just
has a divorce or like is going through some tough time, loss of a loved one,
yeah,
वो पागल है if he
yeah.
goes to a therapist. I mean, what is the stigma?
Exactly. So इसमें मैं I'll tell you a stigma इसी में. So if
Hmm.
suppose you got a divorce, right, and after that, you seek help because you may be experiencing a lot emotionally,
Right.
right? And then you go to a therapist, right?
Of course.
So जो वो जनता है हमारे, they would be like, okay, that is nice that this person is going to therapy. But then again, there are people who will say that अरे थेरेपी जा रहा है बिल्कुल ऐसे पागल हो गया है उसके बिना and stuff like that,
Mhm.
या फिर उसने जरूर उसको इस रीजन से छोड़ा होगा कि ये ऐसे ही है करके, right? So
Right.
people they just assume stuff. So they legit assume stuff about you, and it is mainly due to if they are assuming these stuff कि मतलब if you are
Right.
going to a therapist तो मतलब पागल है not. So if you are assuming that stuff, it means you are definitely not you have not caught up with your mental health lingo, and basically you're not mentally you're not aware about these
Right.
terms, which is very common in rural India, let's say.
Right.
Even just say we're living in Haryana and Noida and stuff like that. So urban areas, it's pretty common that you can go to therapies and all. But then rural India, mein to, I don't think it's
No.
still there. We still need more awareness. Along with that, I think this whole stigma thingy is kind of more prominent, like more prominent in people who are, let's say, above 30 years of age, because abhi ka jo generation, like I said, they're more
Right.
aware of these things, right? But then if you go like up the ladder, age ka, matlab, abhi dekhoge un logon ko, so they still don't believe itna zyada in therapies and stuff like that. Even that my parents, so abhi I teach my parents about all of these things. So pehle, so still they're a little reluctant to understand these things. But then again, so since I'm studying psychology, so I
Right.
keep on trying for them to understand these things. So yeah, but then हमारे parents का generation would they need more mental
Education.
health awareness. They need to they need more education on this. They need I feel like जैसे हमारी government की तरफ से there should be like
Right.
some campaigns, mental health campaigns and all
बट गवर्नमेंट
for
भी
older
तुम्हारी
people to
जनरेशन की
understand.
नहीं है.
ऐसे ही है हमारे government.
बट अच्छा ये
So
भी ट्रू है कि मतलब मेल्स आर मोर रिलक्टेंट टू गो टू थेरेपिस्ट बिकॉज लाइक सोसाइटी एक्सपेक्ट्स देम टू बी स्टोइक एंड नॉट
yeah.
एक्सप्रेस देयर इमोशंस, राइट? सो
Yes, absolutely. So males, they are more prone to these mental health disorders,
राइट.
especially depression, right? And especially if you're like entrepreneur, right? Male ऊपर से entrepreneur, then so it's gonna be it's very mental health situation for men is really we need to work on it because society शुरू से like कि
या
you don't show your emotions,
डोंट शो
men
योर
don't
इमोशंस,
cry.
यू मैन. या
Yeah, men don't cry. You men, why can't they cry? They should cry. Everyone should cry. Let it all out at least,
you know
right?
research
So it's
has
very
actually sorry to interrupt, research has
no,
actually
it's
shown
alright.
that both men and women feel the same amount of emotion. It's just
Yeah,
that men are more prone to show aggression because they have been conditioned कि it is fine to show
yeah,
aggression and pride, and
yeah,
women show all other emotions because it is socially
yeah,
acceptable.
yeah. And then again, when women show, so yeah. Now since we're talking about socially acceptable things, so men they don't show emotions now, right? So which they totally should, and women
Right.
do. And then when women do, people call like people already, they're like, oh, she's just being hormonal and stuff like that. But like
Right,
they're just
right,
letting their
right,
emotions out,
right.
right? And I think men also should be more, try to be more hormonal. So
No,
yeah,
what
thoda
is
sa venting out.
yeah, what is happening in Hollywood these days because of feminism movement is it is actually becoming the opposite. Like men are actually more in roles of expressing emotions, and women are becoming more stoic because of empowering them. That's what.
Yeah, that isn't that cool that this is happening. I mean, this is actually cool. And the kind of realization that Abhi is happening at this point of time is
Yeah,
amazing.
yeah,
You
yeah.
know,
Right,
we are very lucky. We're very very lucky to have these social media platforms where people are letting other people know कि मतलब this also happens. कुछ ऐसा post आता है, we can just share it about the mental health stuff and we
right,
can let people know कि ऐसा भी होता है. And then there are a lot of people जिनको नहीं पता होता what are they going through. When they read it and then they're like yeah, मतलब I might be going through something.
right.
So yeah, so we are very lucky कि अभी everything is getting better and people are realizing the importance of mental health.
Okay, so let's
Really needs a
assume
lot of
that all the stigma is erased. Okay, but
yeah.
what about the money? Like therapy is supposed to be expensive, right? So
Supposed to be expensive. So there are different therapies. They are
yeah,
expensive first. I mean, psychologists they study like more than 5 years. Like at least minimum
exactly,
हमें 5 साल का पढ़ाई चाहिए होता है just to become a counseling psychologist.
right,
And then if you're trying to become a clinical psychologist in India, you need an MPhil 2 years का MPhil 5 साल के बाद 2 साल का MPhil, right? And then फिर उसके बाद MPhil के बाद go for PhD, maybe more 2-3 years, right? And then
right,
फिर again need more experience. तो कुल मिला के 8-10 साल लगते ही है एक proper ऐसे
right.
psychologist बनने. So why not? So if you're like investing in your studies इतना ज़्यादा, right? Learning those things, right? So
Right.
why? So it's just not okay to impart that
Yeah,
thing like for
I
free.
get what you're saying. Yeah,
Yeah, but then again, they are expensive, and there are like a lot of NGOs and all
right,
who are like trying to make it
yeah,
inexpensive, especially for people who are from who are not very well off and
Yeah.
who can't afford it. So yeah, there are facilities available, but then it is very less. Of course, we need to work more on it. So,
Yeah. So actually, people do not give priority to mental health to justify the expense. That is also one thing.
yeah,
Like they can buy an
yeah,
iPhone for 1 lakh, but they think that
yeah.
2000 for a therapy session is not like for their personality as much
I
as
know,
an
right? They
expense.
do that again. It's this again lack of mental health awareness.
Lack of awareness.
Lack of mental health awareness.
Yes.
We need a lot of it in India.
True. Okay. Acha, can you? So we started with mental health, right? So, like, can you recommend some strategies to how to stay mentally healthy and why is it beneficial?
Yeah, sure. So I think the best way to stay mentally healthy would be to exercise, eat healthy, and meditate. Exercise, eating
Right.
healthy, and meditate.
Yeah.
Yeah, these three things are like spot on kind of. Like, of course, अगर जैसे suddenly anxiety, depression, something ऐसे diagnosed हुआ है, so if you go on, if you try and go and try doing that, ऐसे एकदम से नहीं होगा. You have to keep a habit,
Right.
right? So in the ये सिर्फ long run के लिए काम आएगा. So you have to keep a habit of moving your body as an exercise, eating healthy. If you're not eating healthy, if you're even low on iron or B12, you will get anxiety. So that is keep a track on your vitamins. Like, मतलब, कोई deficiency हो रहा है because vitamin
Exactly.
deficiencies can also lead to anxiety and depression and stuff like that. So हमारे brain में it's all about chemicals and all, right? And where do we get these chemicals from?
Right.
Our body releases them, right? And if you're not getting proper diet, if you're not getting ample of nutrients and minerals and all of these things, then our body will not be able to produce those sufficient kind of quantities
Can I
of
ask you
chemicals
on
as
this point?
neurotransmitters. Yes,
Yeah, as a
yes,
neuroscientist, like our brain is conducted through electricity, so it needs
yeah,
chemicals like potassium, sodium,
yeah,
like,
yeah,
and due to our diets these days, people are lacking that
yeah,
and
yeah,
suffering from cognitive deficiencies. Plus, I think sunlight exposure is very important due to serotonin
it
production
is,
and vitamin
yeah,
D.
yeah,
And
it is.
yeah, and
And
you are what you eat. That adage is actually true,
that is absolutely true. You are legit what you eat.
right?
So everything in your body, whatever is happening, it's all because of the kind of food you're eating. If you eat
Exactly.
sticky food, like if you eat these maida stuff, like ऐसे उल्टा सीधा बाहर का for like consecutively लगातार,
Hmm.
right? So your body will automatically start reflecting.
You
मतलब
will feel
वो
like shit.
you will, yeah, you're gonna feel like shit. If you're eating shit, you're gonna feel shit.
True.
That is what it is.
मोमेंट्री प्लेजर मिलता है, डेफिनेटली मिलता है, बट आई नो ब्रोकली खाने में इतना मजा नहीं आता, बट
For some reason, मुझे मजा आता है. That
नो नो बिकॉज
broccoli, I love broccoli. Yeah.
नहीं, there's this hypothesis कि मतलब एक बार when you are conditioned to eat healthy food,
Yeah.
then your mental resources do not have to like fight कि मैं chocolate खाऊं या ये खाऊं. It automatically goes to healthy
Yeah,
खाना. So it's
it
just a
does.
matter
It
of
does.
like 2 months. You have to like
Be
right.
consistent,
Yeah,
be dedicated, and just think for yourself. अपने बारे में सोचो. Like, okay, अगर मन नहीं भी करे, just think कि नहीं. For my mental health, I'm gonna do this. मेरा mental health ठीक नहीं होगा, so I'm
exactly.
gonna go into shit and I won't be able to work it out.
तो
Right?
2 मिनट के
So you
पिज्जा
need
की
to keep
खुशी
it
के
track.
लिए वही,
पिज्जा खा सकते हो, ऐसा नहीं कि मत खाओ.
बट
मतलब but then
न्यूट्रिएंट्स
बाकी
पूरे
चीजें भी
रखो,
लो.
राइट
हाँ, पिज्जा को ऐसे रखो कि बाकी खाने के बाद for
राइट
like fresh
राइट राइट. तो साइकियाट्रिस्ट लाइक वी टॉक, तो वो भी पहले यही करते हैं कि सब कुछ पहले दे इंश्योर कि फिजियोलॉजिकली एवरीथिंग इज करेक्ट, लाइक द ब्लड वर्क,
yeah,
सेरम लेवल, थायराइड लेवल,
exactly.
क्योंकि वो सही नहीं
Yeah,
होएगा तो
तो
वो
कैसे चलेगा? तो नहीं होगा. So this is the thing now. So even not just psychiatrists, even psychologists, like clinical
Right.
psychologists, especially, they also, before starting with with their
Hmm.
therapy session, they do keep a track of these things. See, in the past, if you've checked these things, right? Your
Right.
blood, your iron levels, your vitamin levels, and stuff like that.
Even
So
your
yeah,
body
so
weight
they do.
matters.
Of
Yeah.
course, it does. If your body weight is less, then it means that there might be something wrong, maybe, right? Maybe you're like anemic, or maybe you have
Malnutrition.
some underlying disorders.
Yeah.
Yeah. So even like those disorders, like बाकी जैसे normal जो बीमारियां होती हैं, then they can trigger mental health disorders.
Right.
So
And if
yeah,
you're
that's that.
obese, you will,
Again,
aside from variety of heart problems and physical
yeah,
problems,
you're gonna get brain disorders too. Not
and
just a typical brain
your
disorder.
self
You might,
concept, right?
yeah, exactly. You might develop lack of self confidence,
Yeah.
low self esteem, and then which
Yeah.
will lead to depression at some point of like the
Right.
time if not treated on
Right.
time. So yeah, everything is linked to that.
Right. Food is very important. Exercise is very important. It produces hormones like endorphin, and you know what people are taught in rehab, why exercise is important, because it restores all the neurotransmitters and chemicals that have been I would say ruined because of abuse of drugs. So like
Yeah.
exercise
So
really
drug
helps.
Yeah, it does. So when somebody is abusing drug, if they're taking a lot of drugs, so what it does is so in your brain, like you said, it messes up those neurotransmitters. It actually creates this sort of thing कि, uh, that resistance which we talk about कि they like कि अरे हम इतना फूक सकते हैं, इतना पी सकते हैं, और ऐसा क्यों कर सकते हैं? पता है ऐसा क्यों होता है? Because it's like brain में जैसे जैसे हम पीते जाते हैं, जैसे जैसे हम कुछ टेकिंग समथिंग, तो
Right.
वो ऑटोमेटिकली हमारे ब्रेन में अच्छा इतना ले सकते हैं, राइट? तो वो स्टोर कर लेता है कि हाँ इतना ले सकते हैं। अब तुम उसका क्वांटिटी बढ़ाओगे, फिर वो वाला चीज स्टोर होगा, वो उस हिसाब से ही अपना न्यूरो ट्रांसमीटर रिलीज करेगा। So there would be one, point of time where it won't be releasing much of that particular
Exactly.
neurotransmitter
Yeah.
जो हमें चाहिए होता है, and then you're like, oh, I need more of it, need more of drugs.
Right.
So that's how we become a drug addict.
Our body is actually very good at not doing hard work.
Adapting. Yeah,
Yeah.
it is
I
very good at adapting and not doing hard work. Absolutely.
it feels like अगर कोकेन से इतना डोपामीन मिल रहा है
Yeah,
हमें, तो why do we
release हो
need
रहा
to
है,
produce
हाँ.
it ourselves? Like मिल रहा है बाहर से,
Exactly.
तो you
Then it will
you
stop
can't be
producing.
happy. Yeah,
Yeah,
you can't
exactly.
be
So
happy
then it will
yourself.
stop. Exactly. So when you drop it, when you don't take it, then you're like, oh, अब तो I'm going crazy, अब नहीं हो रहा है. And then
Nothing
you get
feels good then.
the urge. Yeah, and then
Have
that
withdrawal
urge will be
symptoms, right?
what.
And you
Yeah,
know why our brain gets that tolerance कि मतलब एक पैक के
yeah,
बजाय दो पीनी पड़ती है, फिर तीन, because it
yeah.
is like I read in an evolutionary perspective कि it is a way of our brain saying कि you should experience other things as well in life, because life is beautiful, and if you just take pleasure from one thing, then you are just going to waste your life in that. So it builds up that tolerance to force us to do different activities.
Other thing.
Yeah, it's a
Yeah,
very interesting theory.
yeah. It is very interesting.
Right. What was the third? Meditation, right? Meditation, it there has been myriads of research for the benefits of meditation.
Yes, yes, they have. There have been. One of the main research which I read, like somewhere maybe last month, I read, it is that meditating will actually, it does increase your lifespan, okay,
Yeah,
by keeping your brain healthy. Okay, so
right.
it actually restores all the neurotransmitters जितना release होने चाहिए हमारे brain में.
Can you
And
like explain what
helps it.
neurotransmitters like?
Yeah, so neurotransmitters are somewhat like hormones. Okay, so they are released inside between two neurons. So the communication in our body and so neurotransmitters are basically
Chemicals.
hormones only. Yeah,
Yeah,
chemicals which are released in between neurons through which our body communicates.
Which make you feel stuff like happy.
Yeah, which make you feel stuff. अगर कोई
Yeah,
chemical release हो रहा है तुम्हारे दो neurons के बीच में, let's say
right.
dopamine, then you're feeling happy. So
और
it basically
ड्रग्स यही करते हैं,
regulates our
आर्टिफिशियल. Right.
drugs का ये.
I forgot what. Yeah. So, acha, I'm going to talk about amygdala. Can you like explain what amygdala is?
Yeah, amygdala. So amygdala, it regulates your emotions, right?
Yeah.
So it has a big part in regulating your emotions and how you perceive your emotions, and yeah, so it has just bunch of many neurotransmitters getting released in there. So yeah, it's the main emotion regulator.
Like when we were chimpanzees, that was the walnut-shaped
Yeah.
brain that we had, and it was just like
Yeah.
for survival instincts. Like if there was a
Yeah.
snake, we got frightened and we immediately jumped.
Yeah.
Right. So
Yes,
now
and
there are no snakes or lions in the environment.
yeah,
But we still
yeah, but
feel
we've got bigger brains now. Like all our evolutionary data, which I've learned throughout
yeah,
our
yeah.
evolution, it's all
But
still
that
there.
amygdala is still there, right? That
Yeah,
reptilian
still there.
brain. So
Yeah,
what meditation does is decreases the size of amygdala so that you do not feel fear as much or stress as much. So if
okay.
you
I didn't know this.
yeah, so if you see the
Okay.
brain of yogis or meditators, monks who have been meditating for like 5 years, 10 years, their amygdala is very small. Like even in perception of danger, like they do not feel that hormone, adrenal hormone, or stress, anxiety. So that is why people say that the meditation is very good for stress reduction. So
Yeah, it is. It is good for it.
yeah,
Meditation is good for everything. Legit
yeah,
everything.
yeah. Your digestion, your blood pressure,
Yeah,
your
your sexual
heart
urges,
rate.
legit everything. Your hormones and all.
These three things that you mentioned are like the go-to things to increase your quality of life, like tremendously. There's this quote that
Exactly.
if there is one pill that could have been sold everywhere, it would have been exercise, because it
Yeah,
does
it
so
should
many
be.
things.
It
Right.
does. It works wonders. Yeah.
Okay. So let's come to drug abuse. Okay.
So does yeah. What about it?
So things like alcohol and cigarette are socially acceptable in our society. Although things like cocaine and other heroin and things are illegal, these things are legal, but it's arbitrarily defined. It does not mean that they are healthier than those things. These are still dangerous. Uh, I have watched this video of a drug addict, and he said that the deadliest drug in the world is alcohol.
It is. It is. It shrinks your brain. It's legit. Yeah. Like overconsumption of it. It legit shrinks your brain. It destroys the neural connections, right?
Right.
When it destroys the neural connections, it impacts your memory. It impacts
Exactly.
your cognitive function. It
Exactly.
impacts your emotions, right? And
Your
when it
motor
impacts your
function.
emotions,
Right.
yeah, motor functions also
वो तो हाथ जो कांपते रहते हैं.
पता चल जाता है.
हाँ.
Oh, I
Right.
never read those demos.
Right.
Yeah. So yeah, and when it impacts your emotions, it impacts your relationships.
Definitely.
Relationship impact करे socially. तुम्हारा
Definitely.
social behavior impact हो रहा है. People will start
Productivity.
yeah, productivity तो वैसे भी गया. You're drinking almost everything, right?
Right.
So भाई कि मतलब it will ruin your life if you
Yeah.
don't drink it in moderation. If you drink it in moderation,
It's fine.
so of course, alcohol, it does damage your neural connection. It does, like it does that. But if you're drinking in moderation, वो करेगा भी ना, so you will recover. You will recover because our brain is designed like that. You
Yeah.
will recover. Your brain will get better. there is always a chance for your brain to get better. Even if you're like an alcoholic, your brain is like totally messed up, right?
brain को तो chance ही नहीं
There's
मिलता.
always, पर ऐसा extensive alcoholism में फिर again वो वाला फिर what do you call it? What was that? I forgot that word. क्या होता है उसको?
Yeah, neuroplasticity. नहीं,
नहीं न्यूरोप्लास्टिसिटी नहीं, अरे withdrawal. हाँ, withdrawal.
हाँ, अच्छा.
हाँ, simple सा word. Yeah.
Yeah.
तो अगर ज्यादा ही अल्कोहलिक बंदा है या बंदी है तो विड्रॉल सिम्टम कभी कभार इतना ज्यादा स्ट्रॉन्ग होता है that it can you can even die of those withdrawal symptoms.
Yeah,
right?
the alcohol poisoning. Your blood
Exactly.
converts to alcohol.
It does. Okay,
Yeah.
blood converting into alcohol is a different thing, I think. Maybe.
अरे
I don't-
ब्लड ब्रेन में नहीं जाएगा, अल्कोहल जाएगा इंस्टेड ऑफ ब्लड. कार्डियक अरेस्ट, कोमा, simple as that.
Yeah. Okay, I need to read more about that.
But
Blood and alcohol is
it is
okay.
very dangerous.
मतलब blood में alcohol level ज्यादा हो जाता है.
Right.
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 At first it is dangerous. बस यही this is what I'm saying कि even though if you're an alcoholic, of course कि वो वाला stage नहीं हो कि withdrawal इतना खतरनाक हो, right? Even if you're an alcoholic, there is like very much very very big chance for your brain to recover again, right? For you to get back to the society like the way you were, almost like the way you were, right? So alcohol does destroy your brain, but then you've still got time to
Right.
get better.
You know, a very famous philosopher said this is a really sexy line. He said that I love alcohol, that's why I never drink it.
Very smart. Very
Yeah.
smart of that person.
Yeah.
Very smart of that person.
So, and what about smoking?
Okay.
अच्छा, जो एक्सरसाइज के बारे में बोला है, जितनी तारीफ करी है, उसको ऑपोजिट ले लो.
हाँ, उसका ही ऑपोजिट ही है. एग्जैक्टली. हमारा रेस्पिरेटरी सिस्टम
वो तो
खराब होगा ही, वो तो गया. फिर अगेन ज्यादा अब रेस्पिरेटरी सिस्टम खराब हो रहा है तो वही जैसे अभी जो हमने अभी रिसेंट कोविड टाइम सीखा, ऑक्सीजन विल नॉट इनफ ऑक्सीजन विल नॉट गो टू योर ब्रेन. जब इनफ ऑक्सीजन नहीं मिलेगा ब्रेन को, अगेन इट विल स्टार्ट लूजिंग दोस न्यूरल कनेक्शंस. Smoking भी if we talk about smoking marijuana, right, taking drugs, it has a very big impact on humanity. It does. Again, not talking about moderation. Moderation you can take it, right? But in general, कभी कभार क्या होता है कि so we all have these genes, like हमारे under they're instilled, right? So these genes, so they've got so उसमें क्या होता है कि जैसे किसी के फैमिली में कोई डिसऑर्डर है,
like schizophrenia,
schizophrenia, bipolar, anything, अगर इस तरह का कोई है तो कई बार क्या होता है, these alcohol consumption of alcohol, consumption of these drugs, they can actually, even though जैसे तुम्हें नहीं हुआ है, you're okay with it, you're okay, कुछ भी नहीं हुआ, but then if you start taking these things, you can actually trigger those things,
right?
ठीक है, and then फिर जो नहीं हुआ था वो भी हो जाएगा. You may get depression, bipolar, schizophrenia, but only if it is your gene or something like that. So basically, these drugs and alcohol can trigger these mental illness.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, like, if someone's parents or close relatives are suffering from a very serious mental problem like schizophrenia, so smoking
they
marijuana
should be alert.
Yeah, they should.
Yeah, they should be alert. वो alert पहले से हो जाना चाहिए.
Right.
They should know about these things. कि मतलब these may or may not trigger those things in your body. And अगर वैसे, for instance, let's say there are two brothers.
Right.
Okay, let's say there is one brother, one sister. Let's be equal here. ठीक है. So अब दोनों के अंदर the same gene है, ठीक है, same चीजें encoded है, right? तो क्या होगा, एक बंदे ने डिसाइड किया कि I will take I'll drink alcohol, I will do drugs and stuff like that, and the other person I will not. ठीक है. अब दोनों ही same, they both are prone to those mental health disorders जो उनके फैमिली में चल रहा है, right? But the person who drinks alcohol, who takes drugs, they're very much more likely to get it, especially if you do those things in your early teens or late teens.
When your brain is not developed.
Absolutely. when your brain is not developed, and if you're taking it, you're again deteriorating your whatever your brain has achieved milestones अभी तक, right? उसको deteriorate कर रहे हो. अब जब ये होगा तो it will trigger mental health disorders.
Right.
Depression trigger करेगा.
Alcohol is
Bipolar
a depressant.
schizophrenia, like exactly. So even if you're planning to drink, if you're like in your late teens or if you're a teenager, if you're planning to drink, please come पियो. ज़्यादा नहीं पियो यार. So this is very important for teenagers to realize.
Right.
So,
कभी तो अर्ली इयर्स में नहीं पीनी चाहिए, वरना हमारी टॉलरेंस 30s तक इतनी बढ़ जाती है कि यू नीड अ होल बॉटल जस्ट टू फील द सेम. तो तब ना हो.
exactly, and you don't and you don't want that. तुम्हारा life expectancy गया, फिर तुम 50 के एज में पता नहीं किधर मिलोगे. So it's like that. And I've seen like some of my friends.
Right.
So they did develop. So they started doing these drugs and all, like, well, in their teenagers, and they did develop bipolar disorder due to it. Like, one of my friends was, taking very much into marijuana, taking marijuana and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, teens, right? Then they did develop it. They had it, right? But then, so if you're gonna get bipolar disorder, it happens especially in your, early 20s, late teens, right? So, और अगर if you're drinking alcohol उसके साथ साथ, तो अगर होगा भी तो extensive level का हो, ये भी हो सकता है. So
because there are two types.
There are two types of, actually, there are two or three types. I might be forgetting it, but yeah. So it can legit do that.
And
Drugs and
the
alcohol.
most scary thing is most of my friends have developed psychosis due to
psychosis.
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah, it can also, this also is possible. They may be taking those did they take like psychedelics or something?
No, not psychedelic, marijuana. Excessive marijuana. हाँ.
It does. Drugs now, they do anything to your brain. Anything can happen. It's more like you're cooking something and कुछ भी डाल रहे हो, कुछ भी हो जाए. I don't know if this example makes sense.
It does. Even the best psychiatrist or psychologist knows frighteningly little about the brain. It is such a complex structure.
Exactly. Brain is like deep sea. You're yet to discover more things about it. So,
it's more complex than the universe. And like if you put stuff like drugs into it, how can doctors?
It gets even more complex.
And you
can't predict what will happen.
Right. Somebody does not consume one drug. Like polydrug abuse is 95% of people take more than one drug. So that complicates the shit out of the situation.
Of course, even if we talk about, so if you're drinking alcohol, if you're drinking one type of alcohol, it's okay. But if you mix those things up, if you mix whiskey, wine, vodka all together, you're gonna throw up. You're gonna be like shit. That's what will happen to your brain if you're taking all sorts of drugs.
Why do we throw up? Because our body does not want it. It reacts negatively because it is not meant for alcohol.
Yeah, our body is only meant for fruits and vegetables. Why meant for? I don't know Actually, fruits and vegetables के लिए है, और maybe आजकल थोड़ा हमारा evolution हुआ तो we started having non-vegetarian stuff.
Yeah.
So fruits, vegetables, and a little bit
are designed for that.
Yeah. Absolutely. That's part.
But it also like if you eat fruits and vegetables early in your life, it will help decrease the chance of having cancer. Like 38% chance of what was that, intestinal cancer, things like that. So it's not a bad deal.
That's because we all need fiber. Yeah, we all need fiber. If you're not taking enough amount of fibers, your intestines are going to go to shit.
Everyone,
like, of course, literally and metaphorically.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Everyone is after shit like green tea and stuff, but
so, but take some fibers, fibers.
Soil में उगता है या जो पेड़ से आता है, अगर वो चीजें खाओ, तो दैट इज लाइक द हेल्दीएस्ट थिंग यू कैन डू, not like artificial protein powders or stuff like that.
Ah,
Yeah.
those whey protein thing people drink.
People take creatine, glutamate, and excessive glutamate
Yeah,
uh,
glutam
fucks up your
excessive glutamate really fucks up your brain. Yeah, it does, it does.
but
That's
body
right.
बन रही है.
So अब सबको ऐसा physical, उन सबको everyone needs approval again. Approval चाहिए सबको सबका. They'll fuck up their body, but they'll be happy with it because they're getting approval from people, which is like very again not good.
See, they are thinking they're building their body, but
Yeah,
if they're fucking up their body in the future, like by taking steroids
yeah,
and things like that, so
yeah. I think even if they're taking these things, they should research about it like a lot, right? मतलब मन में ऐसा at least curiosity होनी चाहिए कि if you're gonna take something in, तो उससे क्या क्या benefits, क्या क्या नुकसान and stuff like that हो सकता है, you know. One should be just be aware of what they're planning.
a cigarette has more than 8,000 chemicals, like including nail polish remover and pesticide. So
I was not aware of it. Okay. Then
yeah,
it is of course not good.
yeah, it is not. But what makes it addictive is like nicotine, right? So nicotine अलग से खाओ तो it is still good because it is a stimulant like caffeine. So if somebody
Then
wants to smoke, they can take nicotine.
I think nicotine patches का यही काम होता है. I think so.
महंगे होते
People
हैं
use
वो.
nicotine patches. Like,
It's
yeah, but यही
yeah.
होता है, right? I'm not sure. ये काम होता है. I was
हाँ
not
यही
very
होता है. It delivers
aware of it.
nicotine in your
हाँ,
brain.
nicotine in your body.
Yeah. And what else? Do you want to talk about imposter syndrome?
Positive. हाँ, I wouldn't mind talking.
Yeah. So
So
you are writing a thesis about it.
yeah,
Yeah.
trying to. So imposter syndrome is when you actually question your own abilities, okay, of which you have like already proven in your past. For instance,
Right.
let's say you're in class 11, so 10th का exam दे दिया है. You have passed like with flying colors, okay, but then you're still like तो शायद मैं गलती से पास हुई, तो बस एक बार ऐसे ना let's say तुक्का लग गया बोलते क्या बोलते हैं, एक बार हो गया, ये गलती से हो गया, आई मीन इससे जरूर कुछ गड़बड़ होगा, मैं ऐसे कैसे पास अच्छे नंबर कैसे आ जाऊंगा, right? You're like questioning again and again. Then when you question yourself again and again, you feel like a fraud, right? You feel like, I don't deserve this. I shouldn't be here. I shouldn't be here, right? You feel like a fraud, and then when you feel like a fraud, you feel like anybody, like कोई भी आके मुझे question कर सकता है, कि कोई भी मेरे legitimate, if I am, legit मैंने पास किया है कि नहीं, इस चीज को क्वेश्चन कर सकता है. एंड जब कोई क्वेश्चन करेगा तब हाउ मैं गोना आंसर दैट,
Someone will
राइट?
call me out
ऑल
on
ऑफ दिस थॉट, एग्जैक्टली, somebody will catch me. किसी को पता लग जाएगा that I'm being a fraud.
right.
But on the contrary, you have excelled in your studies, you worked hard, right? You gave the exam by yourself. ठीक है, let's assume कि वो ऑनलाइन एग्जाम नहीं था. let's assume वो written ऑफलाइन था, ठीक है. so yeah, you wrote it by yourself, तुमने खुद एग्जाम दिया, राइट? तुम पास हुए हो, ठीक है. so you reach there by like with your own capability. And again,
Right.
imposter syndrome, it makes you question all of these things. It makes you feel like an imposter, that you're trying to be somebody who you're not, right? Or you're just trying to fit in. So yeah, it really makes you go crazy. And then again, all of these thoughts, it creates anxiety. When it creates anxiety, self-esteem issues, right? Self-concept, it doesn't matter. Cognitive dissonance create हो जाता है. Cognitive dissonance as in what we believe in and what is actually happening doesn't match, right? So we are believing that we are, not qualified enough. if we're believing we're not qualified. But then everybody is like, oh no, you're doing so well in your life, it's going so well. And then you're like, yaar, हो गया बस मुझसे, मुझे इसका कुछ पता ही नहीं है. So that is imposter syndrome in short.
Can it happen to celebrities?
Yeah, it happens to everyone. I think सबको एक point of time में होता है. Celebrities के साथ भी होता है. I remember watching this video of Dolly Singh. You know Dolly Singh, right? That influencer. Those South Delhi girls, Kusha Kapila के साथ जो है. So she's an Instagram. She's not as a celebrity as a actor actress, but then she's an influencer, right? So she also shared her journey, like imposter syndrome. So she used to create content and stuff and like that. And she used to feel that she's just making it, और वो गलती से वायरल हो रहा है.
Right.
ठीक है, गलती से हो रहा है. तो उसमें क्या हो रहा है कि उसको लग रहा है कि ऐसी गलती से वायरल हो गया, चुपके से हो गया है, राइट? बट देन कुछ तो किया होगा ना वीडियो में, कुछ तो किया जिसकी वजह से वायरल हुआ. तो अपनी खुद की कैपेबिलिटीज को और क्वेश्चनिंग. तो yeah, celebrities definitely go through it. I feel like celebrities में ज्यादा हो सकता है imposter.
हाँ,
because इतना सारा pressure होता है. Yeah, इतना सारा external pressure होता है to perform and stuff like that. So, yeah, I guess that.
Okay. And I think relationship में भी होता है.
Yeah, of course, relationship में भी होता है. You don't feel good enough. So if you're dating somebody, like when we date someone, yeah. So when we are dating someone, we first of all we put them on pedestal, right? We're like, oh, they are so good, they're so nice, and then the big question to follow up, I wonder why is that person with me? I'm like, no, I'm doing nothing. I wonder why is that person with me? This, I think everybody goes through these questions when they're dating someone, right? So that is imposter syndrome for you. You're not looking कि तुम्हारे अंदर क्या अच्छी बात है, right? And this is something which like I also go through, like imposter syndrome. Right? That is why I chose this topic as the as the topic for my dissertation.
Right.
So yeah. So relationships, there are a lot of imposters, and not just in relationships. Let's say if we're seeking seeking help, like for seeking mental health, what do you call it? Seeking help for your own mental health. कभी ऐसा होता है. You are getting anxious. Okay, you are getting anxious. You are getting all of those feels, but you're like, and you are aware of all the mental health lingos. You're aware of everything, but you're like, no, I think this isn't that bad. I might not need. I don't. मतलब थोड़ा एग्जाइटी तो बात में चला जाएगा. ये इतना भी बड़ा नहीं है कि मैं थेरेपिस्ट के पास जाऊँ और सब राइट. तो उधर भी हमारा इम्पोस्टर सिंड्रोम आता है, राइट? बिकॉज वी आर अपने हमारे सिम्टम्स को हम क्या कर रहे हैं, वी आर रिड्यूसिंग इट. बोले नहीं है, कुछ भी नहीं है, मुझे तो कुछ नहीं हुआ. हमारे पेरेंट्स में हमारे ज्यादा होते हैं कभी कभार. हैव यू सीन व्हेन आवर पेरेंट्स दे गेट सिक, देखो मुझे कुछ नहीं, आई एम ओके, राइट? स्पेशली मम्मास हमारे, आई थिंक दे आर मोर इनटू दिस. अरे कुछ नहीं हुआ, एवरीथिंग इज ओके, आई गेट बेटर. Imposter syndrome.
Right.
So yeah, it's everywhere. You look at somebody and you're like, "Are imposter?"
I want to ask you this one question. Like, if someone, matlab, this happens a lot in India. Like, girls are molested or like taken advantage of, and they feel the need not to like confront or even tell the family.
It is सबसे पहले, to confront them and tell the family. One of the reasons could be because whatever happened to that person is very traumatic, right? And if you try to confront that person, it will bring out those traumatic memories. When it does happen, it gives you all kinds of feelings. You feel bad about yourself. Your self-esteem goes down. You feel like you might be judged for it, right? Even though you haven't done anything, you feel you'll be judged for it. Right? What do people say?
Like it's your fault.
Yeah, like it's your fault. You know what people say and stuff like that. So yeah, it will bring out your own traumatic memory and it will get difficult for you to deal with it. So it is one of the feel comfortable talking about this thing and confronting people. But then again, mental health awareness comes here also, right? So you need to थोड़ा सा अंदर से लेके confidence लेके we need to call people out and we need to confront them, of course. We need help from our friends, from our families. We need our families to be more understandable. And so, yeah.
I think even the family tries to like cover it up, like
Yeah.
disrespect.
Family also tries to cover. Yeah. Family also tries to cover. Because, again, family to cover up, right? But then they need to look for their own daughters. How this one particular incident is going to scar them for their entire life. Okay. And how you deal with that incident also scars you, right? So, as in, if your family is not taking the whole situation in the correct manner, then hiding those stuff like "Yaar, किसी को नहीं बताना है, बदनामी हो जाएगी," stuff like that. This thing also scars you for your entire life. Then उसके बाद you feel insecure about it. You will not want to share your stuff with anybody else because then you feel like you'll be judged, right? So, this is like very tricky thing.
Do you know this this broken window theory? Like, if there is a neighborhood where windows are broken and like it's not very well designed, the crime is more likely to happen.
No, I don't feel enlightened.
Yeah, like that's why in good parts of the city, like which are that actually happened in New York. Like there were many reforms. Crime बहुत rampant होता था, तो पुलिस लगवाई, सब कुछ करा, CCTV लगवाए, but still crime used to happen. So they hired a sociologist, and he suggested that just paint the town in a good color, aesthetically उसको अच्छा बनाओ, and surprisingly the crime decreased. And the theory went like environmental influences were so strong that people thought कि अगर if the place is like basically shit, so it's okay to commit crime.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's pretty interesting theory. Yeah. I think this really implies in our India too.
yeah,
So,
that's why I brought it up, because इंडिया में ये सब बहुत होता है. And
absolutely, especially in those areas, I feel like actually this happens. This molestation and stuff, it happens everywhere, most of the places. But then it's very, the number is I think very much increasing in rural areas. Right?
that's because the consequences are so less. मतलब होते ही नहीं है.
Yeah, सबको छुपाना होता है stuff like that. But in big cities, it's getting people are speaking up. So that is a good thing. But then yeah,
क्या हुआ?
that.
So yeah.
Because
So what are your plans now after clinical psychology?
I'm planning to go for a PhD in neuropsychology, but then it would be like upcoming a year or two maybe, a year or two later. तब तक I need to gain more practical experience and more
Okay. What are you going to do after that?
after my PhD.
Yeah.
Oh, after that, so I'll become a neuropsychologist. Probably I'll get a job in a hospital and
What does a neuropsychologist do? Like they do diagnose, right?
yeah,
Diagnosis.
no, they can if you have a PhD, you can diagnose stuff. But then neuropsychologists are more into how you how you know how are your cognitive functions, right? So they assess those things. Those brain scans, so they assess your brain.
Oh,
The
right,
brain is working fine. Your brain is
right.
healthy, right? So if there is some TMI, like traumatic brain injury, right? So after किसी का accident हुआ है, then first of all go to the neuropsychologist to assess कि कुछ cognitive functions में motor functions में कुछ problem हुआ है कि नहीं,
Right.
वो stroke आया है, stroke के बाद उनका cognitive functions, motor functions, उनकी verbal ability, वो सारी चीजें we assess these things, right? So neuropsychologists are basically, they are psychologists, but along with that they can also assess your brain function, right? And and then according to that they would help you out with interventions for those things.
So how are they different from neurologists?
Neurologists are more so neuropsychologists, okay, they assess and they help in intervention. They don't prescribe medicine.
Okay.
So they don't. So neurologists are they are more deep into the brain stuff. Neurologists can also assess your brain function, but then they are like typical doctors, and they will treat you for it medically, for a proper medicine.
And they
so
don't.
Neuropsychologists, yeah.
Do they see the cognitive functions?
Yeah.
They're
Something.
concerned with the mind, or they're just concerned with the nerves and the exterior brain?
No. They're definitely concerned with mind also. If your cognition is not working right, then some part of your brain, it might be injured or maybe concussion involved there, right? So maybe due to that. So yeah, they're more into treating it properly. Probably, they can even basically, I think that is all, I guess. बाकी neurosurgeries and all will be involved.
Right.
Neuropsychologist का भी होता है. Neuropsychologist they help figure out कि कहाँ कौन से brain parts में क्या issue है.
तब मत करना imposter syndrome.
हाँ तब नहीं हो. I hope ना हो.
बहुत अच्छा लगा बात करके. We'll do this.
Yeah, let's do this again. Okay, all right, Akash. Am I pronouncing your name right, Akash?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Okay, so
are we ending it?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Bye.
Okay, bye.